Robots and automation are taking over, but it's important that your job and your business are not going to be next on the chopping block. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to talk about the economy. We're going to talk about manufacturing. I've got some positive news there. Want to bring that to you. I want to look at the job situation and take a really zoomed out approach to this. I want to look at, of course, what's happening with the repo operations. I've got news coming out of the US. I've got Canada in here. We're going to be talking about the cyber attack that happened yet again. Food prices are rising. It is so key, so important to understand you as an individual, how this is really hitting you where it hurts. Let's get into it right away. Another day, another repo. You can see this time it actually did not hit a record yet again, but we are looking at $448 billion in this reverse repo operation. I believe it's Goldman Sachs who has predicted this will go above $600 billion in a day at some point in the near future. I'm going to keep you up to date on this. I think it is really important to keep focused on what's happening in the financial system as it relates to the Fed. I'll give you more information about the Fed in just a second. But I wanted to talk about manufacturing because this is such an important thing to look at when we talk about the jobs situation and the economy. U.S. manufacturing gains steam, raw material, labor shortages mounting. U.S. manufacturing activity picked up in May as pent-up demand amid a reopening economy boosted orders, but unfinished work piled up because of the shortages in raw materials and labor. The actual production of goods right now is apparently, the demand there is apparently exceeding what they can do, what they can supply at this time, and a lot of different businesses are feeling the pain. The ISM survey, something that I've covered many times here on this channel, found companies and their suppliers continue to struggle to meet increasing levels of demand, noting that record long lead times, wide-scale shortages of critical basic materials, rising commodity prices, and difficulties in transporting products are continuing to affect all segments of manufacturing. This has been an issue, of course, over the last year, and yet still encountering problems. All right. Strong demand is a good problem to have, but that demand is increasingly straining manufacturers' ability to keep pace. They give you the ISM information there. Essentially, it's in positive territory. Anything above a 50 is an expansion, below 50 contraction, and right now 61.2. Okay. Then you look at this here. The Southwest is America's new factory hub. Cranes everywhere. One of the interesting ones that I wanted to bring to you specifically, I think this is very positive, is coming down. I'll just show you this example here. They're showing Lucid Motors, which I'm not even sure they've actually made a single vehicle yet. But looking further down right here, Intel Corp microprocessor manufacturing site in Arizona. The microprocessors right now are largely made in areas like Taiwan. They're coming out of Asia, and you know right now that there has been a massive shortage. When Apple is dealing with a shortage, you know there's a problem because they have the supply chain down packed and they are dealing with some problems. So Intel building an actual microprocessor manufacturing site in the United States hopefully will create a real beneficial situation, not just for the workers and everybody that's benefiting directly from new jobs that are being created, but also the supply chain issues. If you've got manufacturing in your own home country, that is going to save you a lot of problems in the future. They do talk about another one that I wanted to touch on right here, and I think it was, yes, right here. TSMC, the Taiwanese chip maker, is now building in Phoenix. Okay, so there's another one. There actually is some good news. Largely manufacturing is gone and permanently gone, that is. But I just wanted to highlight when there is some positivity, of course, I'm going to bring that to you. That's what we have to understand. But overall, it's unfortunate. Manufacturing is, quite frankly, gone. It's just the statistics. This is the ISM PMI you can see right here. on the chart, just to give you an idea of where it has come over the last year. It has been rising. We know that as a fact, but that's made up of different factors. It's part of that. You see when the supposed good news is coming out, a lot of that is the prices that are being paid, which is not good because they pass that down to the individual. And you look at Canada's economy, I just wanted to show you the fact that it's not just the United States, it's not just Australia. You look around and you see kind of the same patterns appearing. Canada's economy expanding 1.4%, and that is a major slowdown from what happened before. And even though right now there's $2,000 a month for the unemployed, there are stimulus packages left, right, and center. Businesses who need the loans are getting the loans. The interest rates are at record lows. This is something that, quite frankly, cannot persist forever and ever. And really quickly, I just wanted to cover this. Large North American meat plants stop slaughter after JBS cyber attack. And this happens to be a cyber attack, in this case, largest meat producer globally. The largest one forced the shutdown of all of its U.S. beef plants, wiping out output from facilities that supply almost a quarter of American supplies. They also talk about here, further down, Australia and Canada are affected as well. So big news coming right here. I think it's important for those who are not just who are eating the animals, of course, but for other people as well. You just see higher prices in general. That puts pressure on everything. The suppliers absolutely, positively increase prices every way they can. They simply just blame it on, well, it's a supply chain issue today, we had to do it. And maybe, it's a company that does 10 different things and they just raise prices across the board. This is so key right now to understand how this affects you. So let's do the breakdown right now. Number one, prices are rising everywhere. You look around, no matter where it is, no matter what it is, prices are rising. Some of them have come off their peak, but it's certainly true that we have seen the prices of everything come up. Number two, you look at the actual increase in these prices and it's not just the raw materials. Consumers will pay more for stuff. You know that this is going to be the case at least for the foreseeable future, whether that's your gas prices, whether that's your food prices. It's in general coming up and it doesn't seem to go back down. The example I bring up all the time is gasoline. You looked at oil, it was at $100. You had gasoline that was so expensive. And then you had oil actually falling in some cases into the negative territory. Did your gasoline fall into the negative territory? Of course not. You could argue, it's because of the processing of it and so on, that incurs costs, but it didn't go down in the same percentage terms. And now it's back up to a level that's not corresponding in the previous cycle. So this is key. You are always going to pay more. And then we have number three. Having the right skill set is essential. If you see and you look down the line and you think to yourself, what I'm doing today is probably going to be irrelevant tomorrow, it's time to get a new skill. It's time to have a secondary income. It's time to do what it takes now. Do not wait for tomorrow. Do it now. There are so many things that you can do online for free today to get started, to dig up the information you need. Maybe what you're doing right now today was going to be temporary, but you've got this thing. That thing might be what you need. If you can do it part-time, if you can start on the side, I highly recommend getting your stuff in order today. Now, I think this is hilarious because we've talked about it on the channel so many times before, you and I in the comments section going back and forth, what I call, and I didn't coin the term, but shrinkflation. One way companies are concealing higher prices, smaller packages. And they basically say here that, look, they've got two options. They can increase the price on the products that people have come to get used to, or they can simply shrink the packaging. And I use the example of the Lay's potato chip bag. It's a quarter of the bag. It's a quarter of that bag, I'm sure. I mean, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been a really, really long time. But, there's basically no chips. They could, the small bag is ultimately probably has the same as the big bag. I mean, it's ridiculous. How they get away with it, I really don't know. From Austin to Boston, renting is a better deal. So what we have here is the prices of homes rising dramatically, and then you have the rent prices which had come down so far, and that puts this into this big disparity. So previously the rents were really, really high in New York and San Francisco, but now because the prices of those homes have come up, you're seeing the disparity there. I am doing an interview. I'll be recording it the day that you see this video. I'm going to be recording an interview with Steve Soretsky from Vancouver, from the Soretsky Report, and we're going to talk about real estate. I'm going to give you some really key information, so stay tuned for that. It will probably post the following week. Definitely stay tuned. I want everybody to know what's happening in the real estate market, not just from me, not just from the articles, but people on the inside as well. This right here won't have time to get to it, but it's Fed rate veering closer to zero adds fuel to debate over the tweaks. If you have the time, check it out. I think it's important to look at what the Federal Reserve is doing in the manipulation. To me, it is so key to see their active and entirely ridiculous manipulation of the prices of everything. They have affected everything in every way. I mean, people really need to understand that. Once tech's golden child, Apple loses its luster as scrutiny grows. So it's the App Store charging too much. They're getting sued left, right, and center. This is something that has been going on for a little while, but this is a stock that, trillion-dollar company, nothing could go wrong. And now we have a little bit of stagnation, a little bit of concern for the future in where it's going to get its revenue if suddenly it's not going to charge that 30% to those apps and so on. Mudrick sells entire AMC stake, calling shares overvalued. You might be wondering, who the heck is this? Check this out. Mudrick Capital sold all of its stock in AMC as of Tuesday, the same day the movie theater chain disclosed that investment firm had bought $230 million worth of fresh shares to bolster its finances. In the same day, something very fishy is going on, but don't worry because the stock went up anyway. You're looking at AMC stock right now, and in the after hours, it went up beyond $37. On the top right corner, you're seeing the weekly chart, and clearly, I hope you could see that, it has just gone ballistic. And then we look here at the hourly, and then I can switch that to the daily. But essentially, we're just noting the fact that the price has gone out of this world. This is the Bollinger Band, and basically the top end, that candle is completely over the top Bollinger Band, something I will talk about in the interview that I did with Profit Market, which will release in the next few days. So there is this extreme push right now in this particular stock. A lot of money is riding in, and you could see just from the volume itself. In Apple's case here, this is the weekly again, and it's been going down week after week after week. Not by much. It's not a heavy drop here. It's not a bear market and so on. But clearly there is some weakness. As you can see, it's coming towards the bottom of that Bollinger Band. It's below its 50-day moving average. So I think at this point right here, people do have concerns, but there might be a little bit of a bounce at this point coming in the near future. We'll see what happens. If you haven't already, you need to sign up for the Insiders, because the Insiders is my way of getting to you. Okay, this is so key. So many people, there are now thousands of people that have joined this list, And it's really the primary reason is because of all the censorship, of all of which they have done, not just to my channel over the years, but to so many others, okay? So if you wanna make sure that you get my video every day, 5 days a week in this case here, I will email you directly and you're gonna get that video. There's no spam, no garbage like that. Eventually, this is gonna contain original information. I haven't decided what to put in there yet, but at least for the time being, you're gonna make sure to get my video every single day. Join the thousands of people who have done so. Last, I wanted to finish this off. Instacart bets on robots to shrink ranks of 500,000 gig shoppers. That's why when I said earlier that if you can look down the road and see that what you're doing is probably going to be automated or outsourced, you got to hurry up and change today. Look for something else today. Do what you can, okay? I understand things are tough. I understand that. But always keep a forward-looking perspective. I think that's really, really important. What they say essentially is they're going to have like an Amazon type system where it would be more of a factory and the robots would pick up the food. The robots can put it on the truck. Maybe they're, planning long term. There's autonomous driving, autonomous delivery, and so on. So we'll see what happens. If you found the video informative, please give me a thumbs up. And you got to watch this video. Definitely check it out, and I'll see you there.